Hey, welcome. Look, remote and hybrid work is clearly here to stay, but let's be real for a second. It comes with its own unique set of headaches. Today, we're going to break down exactly what those common failure points are and, more importantly, how to actually solve them for good. All right, let's jump right in.
So, let me just ask you this straight up. Does this sound a little too familiar? You've got this amazing, talented team, but somehow wires keep getting crossed, updates go missing, and you just have that nagging feeling in the back of your mind that things could be running so much smoother.
If you're nodding along right now, I promise you, you are not alone. Here's the real problem. So many companies are trying to manage the future of work using tools built for the past. You know, it's kind of like trying to stream a 4K movie on an old dial-up modem. The tech just isn't built for the job.
Okay, so if we're going to fix this, we have to get specific. Let's break down the 5 most common failure points that trip up remote and hybrid teams. As we go through them, see if any of these ring a bell for you.
First up, and this is a big one, communication gaps. See, in an office, you can kind of absorb information just by being there, right? But when you're remote, every single piece of context has to be spelled out on purpose. And when it's not, well, that's when things start to fall apart. And it creates this massive domino effect. It starts small, with maybe some unclear priorities, but that leads to missing context. Then, suddenly everyone's expectations are totally misaligned, and before you know it, nobody's really sure who's supposed to be doing what. It is a recipe for serious frustration.
And all of that, it leads directly into our second challenge, a productivity dip that you can really feel. And it's not because people aren't working hard, it's because the system they're stuck in is just clunky, and frankly, you can't see what's going on.
Think about it. For managers, you've got no real-time visibility into what's actually getting done. And for your team, having to constantly stop what they're doing to fill out a manual timesheet or write a long update email, it feels like a chore, because it is. And the result is you end up with inaccurate data and no clear picture of where your projects really stand.
All right, here's one that often flies under the radar but causes some major logistical headaches. Just trying to manage leave and attendance. When everyone's work hours start to get blurry, any kind of planning becomes next to impossible. I mean, without a clear, simple system, how can you plan your resources? Who's taking a vacation next week? Is someone working a half day today? Trying to juggle all of that through a mess of emails and spreadsheets is a total nightmare that directly impacts what your team can actually get done.
So, what do you get when you mix together communication gaps, productivity dips, and all that attendance confusion? Well, you get our fourth and maybe the most expensive challenge of all, project delays.
This is what happens when ownership gets fuzzy. When a few different people think someone else is handling a task, that task just doesn't get done. It falls through the cracks. And all those little hesitations and points of confusion, they add up, leading to big slowdowns and missed deadlines.
And that brings us to the 5th and final challenge. This is the one that's kind of hiding underneath everything else. The one that can quietly eat away at your team's culture, a breakdown in trust and accountability.
And you know, this is absolutely a two-way street. On one hand, managers get anxious because they can't physically see the work happening. And on the other, employees start to worry they'll be judged unfairly based on assumptions, not on the actual quality of their work. The whole team ends up operating on guesswork instead of just focusing on getting great results.
Okay, so we've laid out all the problems. But how in the world do you solve all of these connected issues at once? Well, it really takes a whole new system. To see what that looks like, we're going to use a platform called GetWorkfolio as an example of how you can tackle these challenges head-on.
Just pause for a second and really imagine this. A workflow where you're not constantly chasing people for updates. Where productivity is totally transparent, but in a way that isn't intrusive. Where your team just feels connected and empowered to do their best work. That's the goal. That's the dream, right?
So what exactly is GetWorkfolio? Well, think of it as an all-in-one system that's built to be that single source of truth for a remote team. It handles everything from managing projects to tracking time, all in one place.
Now, let's connect the dots. This is the fun part. We're going to go back through each of those 5 challenges we talked about and see how a systemic solution, like the kind GetWorkfolio offers, can fix them.
So, to fix those communication gaps, the answer is a single source of truth. It's that simple. When every task, every deadline, and every responsibility lives in one central place, like a unified project management system, all that ambiguity just melts away. Everyone knows exactly what they need to do and when, without ever having to call another meeting.
And for that productivity puzzle, the key is to move away from manual reporting and embrace smart automation. Instead of making your team stop their actual work to fill out timesheets, a system like this can automatically log their productive activity. This frees everyone up to focus, and it gives managers the clarity they need, building trust based on real data, not on guesswork.
And what about that logistical nightmare of managing time off? The solution is to build it right into the daily workflow. Imagine an employee requesting time off with just a single tap, and the manager approving it just as fast. When all the balances and policies are handled automatically, resource planning suddenly becomes simple, transparent, and accurate.
This right here is how you kill project delays. With a system like GetWorkfolio, those orphan tasks, the ones nobody owns, they just become a thing of the past. Every single item has a clear owner, a firm deadline, and a status that everyone can see in real time. That's how you build momentum and make sure things get delivered on time.
And that brings us all the way back to the biggest issue of all: trust. The absolute best way to build it on a remote team is through transparency. When you have a fair, data-driven record of the work being done, you take all the fear and guesswork out of the equation. Accountability is no longer a scary word. It's just a simple, objective conversation about outcomes.
You know, at the end of the day, this isn't just about fixing what's broken. It's about putting the right systems in place to really unlock your team's full potential. This is how you go from just managing a remote team to building a truly high-performing, competitive, and happy remote workforce.
The companies that are going to win in this remote-first world are the ones that adapt and adopt tools built for this new way of working. If this all makes sense to you and you want to see what it feels like in action, a great next step is to explore a platform like GetWorkfolio. It's amazing what a difference the right system can make.